Fast forward, you need to watch on your social. So I'm saying, how say a FunnTV GH political stories are training because big headlines. Nigerian Rennie be Ěxp0sě Brouhaha. And India Mnia Brasil say and the AD Kanya. Best also which must subscribe to the channel. Hit on notification bell. Share now for front so answer into me and Kevin shower Ěxp0sě say why any side the amami. At this point in time, yeah, hit on street too. A major stories are training because making headlines within the political portals. Bina ya sorting outer ye peti edi egu abuwa no bibia obia nyame hwa onye okese se wotimi like show no edi amami ye mon ranks mu eye Kevin Taylor and amano kase wotimi abawura eye parliament eye majority and then minority kind of brouhaha Ěxp0sě no and na wode na no atum and na ochre how the proceedings the way it be koye kwanya efa so ya eye asem no kopie court no ode nanu atuma eye ono so eche na dwena nso bitimi ehu de ko ene de ba de waka nyina like say Parliament House a independent body omankasa ene transe make decisions laws na afi implement decisions and they are capable they are capable enough solving their own issues. And so a member of parliament next assembly can say parliament next would tabri the court. It makes a one casano one te a year parliament imrano assay. When in summer rubia or can what to eja edi egu ekufuwa chima any MPP may call chima also which me honey echo any day. But this point in time means I'm right among one as na yenye Ěxp0sě on so afa. Shannon Swam say I say a FunnTV.
Parliament is an independent body. They have the right to make their laws, and they have the right to argue over their laws, and they have the right to make sure they make that law they passed effective. Parliament is independent enough that it has been able to create its own constitution that guides it. And we don't need anybody to tell Parliament what it has to do. Parliament, it's its own boss. And at the end of the day, nobody committed a crime in Parliament for us to go to the Supreme Court. What crime was committed in Parliament? A DNA of Parliament, a Parliament into mean solving. So for somebody to leave Parliament and be part of Parliament, to leave Parliament to go seek help from outside Parliament, that person does not respect Parliament. That is what we need to understand. Let's say, for somebody who is part of Parliament, who is part of the laws they make in Parliament, who is part of the standing orders of Parliament, to leave Parliament to say that we as an independent body make laws, make sure the laws work, leave Parliament to go and seek knowledge outside, to think that knowledge will be able to control Parliament. That person does not even deserve to be in Parliament. It means the person does not even respect Parliament in the first place. Then it means that Parliament you are part of, you don't respect it to make decisions that will basically help you in Parliament. So it means you will underestimate Parliament, the power it has. In this issue of Parliament, as some Supreme Court is a big deal. Judges were appointed by Ěxp0sě. In the first place, if I'm the Chief Justice, which I am not, I would tell the parliamentarians to say, what has happened in Parliament, is it a crime? Can it be solved in Parliament? Are you guys not independent enough? Do you have a speaker? If your speaker makes any pronouncement, do you have any way in Parliament to at least question the speaker's pronouncement? Because I know that when LÉXP0sě makes a statement in Parliament, it is not final. Parliamentarians can still use the rules and regulations in Parliament, the standing orders, to question the speaker. And there's been several occasions where speakers have passed a judgment on something and come back to say, this parliamentarian raised an objection and I think he made sense, and that the ruling has been quashed. I just want us to look at this again. That's it. So a DNA of Parliament are so crazy, we need to get to the Supreme Court. Did anybody shoot anyone? Did anybody commit murder in Parliament? As far as to say, somebody can still rise up in Parliament to actually tell the speaker that, your speaker, Mr. Speaker, the decision you took In fact, from what I am seeing, from what we also have here that binds at, I think you made a mistake. In fact, it can be an argument that at the end of the day, both sides can make for the speaker to either rescind his decision or keep his decision. So what is it about a parliamentarian going to Supreme Court? The moment you leave Parliament to go to Supreme Court, to go seek for interpretation of what Parliament has decided, then you, that parliamentarian, you don't respect the Parliament you are in. You don't. And that is what these NPP guys don't understand. And that is what FunnTV does not understand. And that is why I have so much pain in my heart that the Supreme Court, led by the Chief Justice, in less than 5 hours, can put together a committee and say, I am the chair of the committee. Have what you want. There's a problem. That is where I have the problem. And yet, the AC say obia to me. But for the Chief Justice, because I don't think, say, if there's an issue in the Supreme
Mamina was say wajim rechinting awasi awheni yeko enidi yabashana swam say ahasi a FunnTV GH afina ubebrema mimwa kwaba na unsubscribe ya yamadom subscribe mami share na afi what you like show no mami nyaw adwentre under the comment section being positive one of course enti ye bo ewra yin simwa ya na se ye recap ewo yin simwa na ye Kevin Taylor na mano kasei ono otimi na dwin efa Supreme Court majority being turning into minority no afanyo markings ede asem no eko Supreme Court and na dwin efa mo say antwa yi kra ense se ebanesa because first of all no parliament independent body nti omude autonomous any make decisions and umangasa implement decisions. They are capable of solving their own issues. In this way, a member of parliament, Nessa Assemba, Nesse Tabri Edeko a year parliamentar. It tells you say one casa crampono win him their way. And I now say a year judges are hodua or more Supreme Court no Akufo on a pointy umuntino. At all costs, everything will go on your favor. Debbie was it anti-sacra. Inti what suja edi egu MPP amayikuruma at this point in time ever saying ebe run asweye na yasan hwe ne yeko eni de ba. But that's what wajemre e wa hase.
Court. If there's an issue in the Supreme Court, I don't think, and I know there are so many times, there's been disagreements between the judges in the Supreme Court on issues, but you never heard any Supreme Court judge say that I disagree with the Chief Justice on this decision, so I am going to Parliament to seek interpretation, or I am writing a petition to the President for the Chief Justice to be summoned. I've never heard anything. Supreme Court judges, the judges know that they have to, at the end of the day, no matter how difficult an issue is, they have to find a way to solve it. So why can't parliamentarians do that? Now, for one part of Parliament to always be running to the Supreme Court, it means the extension of the executive has gotten to the Supreme Court. Because that person or that group, they know they cannot run to the Jubilee House. It will be too clear. So what they have to do is to seek help from the Supreme Court, which basically is an extension of the executive. So when you see NPP4 from Parliament running to the Supreme Court, they are going for help from Ěxp0sě, because every single person who matters in the Supreme Court was employed by Ěxp0sě. I feel bad when Chief Justice Madam Tokonu sits down and makes sure say this carnage happens. It means the Chief Justice in the first place is giving parliamentarians the room to disrespect the Speaker of Parliament. True. Because if the Chief Justice really respects the Speaker of Parliament, she will question FunnTV that the ex-party you've been brought shows that there's another part who don't agree with you on what you have brought here. And that go back. You are not the only people in Parliament. Sit with your leader and make sure the right thing is done. Because the Speaker's pronouncement is not the end of everything. Still, the NPP had room to argue their case. That is why you have standing orders. You have ways and means to get your case made and listened to. So for the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice to say, yes, FunnTV, You have come. Thank you. When my father died, you actually handled the funeral. And that right now, I have been a slave to you. I am a slave to you. So whatever you want, take it. It means the Supreme Court itself does not respect the Speaker of Parliament. Let me tell you, there's law, we all understand. And it's not Hanatete Ebusa, the Speaker of Parliament, the Supreme Court Chief Justice, say this simple question. That's why Hanatete was asking Madam Tokonu, say, do Supreme Court justices consider public opinion? And Nuntina, Hanatete Ebusa Chief Justice say, the Supreme Court does it actually consider so how they feel about things? Because you being at the Supreme Court, everything is not supposed to be about you, and also everything is not supposed to be about the law. It is about the people your judgment is going to affect. And it's do sometimes, case Supreme Court etumika say, sa case way, because of the sentiments out there, because the majority of the people don't like it, even though the law says we should do this, the sentiments of the people and the democracy we want to maintain and not to bring chaos, we are going to stick to the opinion and sentiments of the people. It is sometimes, the Supreme Court always judge things on the common sense. So we are judge, robot. You also need to look outside the feeling of the people, because a judgment can cause more harm. Sometimes some judgment that you think it is right, it turns out to destroy a nation. That is why the public sentiment, the public opinion is important as a judge. So you ask yourself, did the Chief Justice consider the public opinion on this matter? Because we are talking about representation in Parliament. Every single person in Parliament represents a Ghanaian or Ghanaians. Did the Chief Justice consider Ghanaians? No. She considered what Afenyomakin has done for her. Afenyomakin yede papa yie ma no. Oni Afenyomakin was very good rapport. Oni president ne di nkomo. In less than 4 hours, she needs to put together a committee to pass. What is this? Now, if Lǳმაგრ tries to show respect to the Supreme Court and say, I respect the Supreme Court and I respect my position, so I'll stick to my decisions, what is the Supreme Court going to do? Let's say Lǳმაგრdecides to show respect to the Supreme Court and say, I'm not going to do anything to destabilize our democracy, to destabilize the pillars of government. I'm going to respect the Supreme Court. I'm going to stick to my position and make sure I do my job. Whatever I'm doing here is what I'm concentrating on. I'm not going to think about anything. What is the Supreme Court going to do? Are they going to arrest Lǳმაგრ? Is the Supreme Court going to give order that we should shut down the Parliament? No. But the President's Supreme Court has said, it is not good. The Chief Justice has been an embarrassment. And this is something that we need to talk about. The Chief Justice, Madam Tokonu, has been an embarrassment. She has been too political. She is becoming too political. I don't have a problem if Ěxp0sě appointed you, but the people, the public, how they see you, how they feel about things. Sometimes you people should not act like you live on Mars. At the end of the day, we are called the same church. And I don't want to remind any judge of the past, but the things that happened to Kobre Japan, any judges near Kuomo 82, it is not as worse as what we are seeing today. The Amaya Meda judges in 1982 or so, it is not as crazy as this. This is broad day slaughtering of the democracy of this nation, and this is dangerous. If it is not a military man, if it is not an innocent policeman, it will be the civilians who rise up to attack the Supreme Court, and this is dangerous. That is why Hanatete was busy or asking the Chief Justice, do you think about the people, how they feel now, where we are now? You don't. It means you are not working for the people. It means you people in the Supreme Court, you are working for some people. They are what? Political greediness or their selfishness. That's what you're doing. Because if I'm the Chief Justice, I will tell Afenyomakin that, you know something, we have less than 60 days to elections. I'm the Chief Justice here. I'm also Ghanaian. I know the tension in the system. Whatever has erupted in Parliament can be solved by Parliament. Go there, talk to your speaker, meet the opposing side, and solve that problem. At this point, we don't need that chaos. You kill this matter. But for some reason, Chief Justice in less than 5 hours is able to put 5 judges together, including herself. Let's make a judgment. And what do you get from it? Let's say Alban Bagbin says, I'm Speaker of Parliament. I want to test the law. I will still hold on to the position. My statement states, what are you going to do? Are you going to give another order that we should shut down Parliament? No. No. You don't do that. You don't disrespect the people like that. Madam Tokoro, this is embarrassing. This is the lowest point of our judiciary.
And so when some how course watching you so mamma was so Jimre was say, aha, a FunnTV GH podcast stories at training because making headlines near the Jimre, not Ěxp0sě among whom they call any day ever within the political arena. And the sanity that's an so bad any day don't be doing any essential the changing so and so.